There's two weapon loadouts I recommend for the Scavenger's Den Legendary Lost Sector. If you're below 1308 or 1310, I recommend you play things safe with double primaries and a rocket launcher. If you're above 1310, we can play a little risky to shave off some time on runs. The first loadout will get you the most consistent and safe clears for anyone having trouble, but the second one will be where you start to push a little bit faster and a little bit faster in your runs. Make sure you own the Beyond Light expansion to unlock legendary and master versions of Lost Sectors, and you also need to clear the normal Lost Sector on that character first too. Keep in mind that every day at reset, the legendary and master Lost Sectors will rotate. The legend gets increased to master difficulty, and the next one in the rotation becomes the legend version. The rewards also rotate each day. The rotation is chest, helmets, boots, and gloves. So if the boots are dropping in the Legend Lost Sector today, then tomorrow the Legend Lost Sector will drop gloves, but the master version will still drop boots. You can then use this rotation to figure out when the exotic you want will drop next. If this video helps you out, drop a like on the video so then you'll get recommended new content like weapon reviews for the God Roll Season of the Splice weapons that you need to get. For the safe and consistent runs, you're going to want to use a kinetic hand cannon, a solar scout, a solar rocket launcher, and an arc subclass. All solar damage you deal and receive is increased in this Lost Sector, so we want that solar damage for champions and clearing enemies. There's only one shield in this entire Lost Sector, and that's arc on the final boss. That's why we're running an arc subclass to kill the boss. The kinetic hand cannon is for overload champions, the solar scout is for barrier champions, and the rocket launcher is for champion DPS. You could also use a solar AR instead, like the Arctic Haze from Varix on Europa, but the Pleiades Corrector is a solar scout dropping this season that might be easier for you to get. And then the solar rocket launcher Code Duello is from the Battlegrounds activity. You could also use the Lament exotic sword or Xenophage, but just keep in mind that you'll take more damage from knockbacks in this Lost Sector, like champion stomps, which might make the sword harder to use. If you're looking to go faster, what I was really enjoying was a kinetic hand cannon, the new solar grenade launcher Empty Vessel, and then Xenophage. My hand cannon was for disrupting overload champions and a little ad clear, but my Empty Vessel was for some champion damage and killing small groups of enemies faster. You can also use Xenophage for quickly clearing enemies, but it's mostly for killing champions. If you hold down the trigger so you're shooting at the max rate of fire, you'll kill the barrier servitors before they pop their barrier and then heal back to full health. If you tap fire Xenophage or you don't hold the trigger down, you're probably not going to do enough damage to the barrier servitor fast enough before it pops that barrier. As long as you're about 1308 to 1310 power level, you'll be able to use Xenophage and kill the barrier servitor before it pops its barrier. And then for the overload captain, as long as you disrupt the captain with your hand cannon, it's pretty easy to kill with the grenade launcher and then Xenophage. For armor mods, just run whatever ammo mods match your heavy weapon. Use rocket launcher Scavenger, ammo finder, and reserves if you're running a rocket, or use sword or machine gun mods if you're using a sword or LMG. Since all incoming arc, solar, and knockback damage is increased in this Lost Sector, you're going to want to use either arc or solar resistance, and then melee damage resistance mods on your chest piece, especially if you're lower level. Either one will work best since there's a lot of arc damage, but a lot of the highest burst damage you'll take is solar. In the first room, you need to clear pretty much every enemy in the room to move forward. If you're lower power level, I recommend rotating around the right side of the room because you'll take less damage this way. You can clear away enemy by enemy and then just have the barrier servitor to deal with at the end. This is a pretty safe strat, but you could also just walk forward and clear everything faster. You'll have a lot more risk because almost every enemy in this room will be shooting at you, so just keep in mind that this is high risk for high reward. Once you kill every enemy in this room, an overload captain will spawn with a couple trash enemies. Disrupt the champion and then use your solar heavy to quickly kill it before moving to the second room. The second room is pretty straightforward to clear. It's mostly just a bunch of regular enemies, which all definitely hurt because of the increased damage you take from arc. The only real threat though is the Overload Captain at the end. The champion is pretty easy as long as you clear everything else away, disrupt the captain, and then kill it with your heavy weapon. Keep in mind though that you can also finish the champion to save you some ammo. Next, you're going to enter a tunnel with some trip mines. I usually would just sprint and slide through them, but the middle group of mines sometimes would kill me. If you're low on revives and don't want to risk it, just shoot them before you go through the tunnel to the final room. The final room is definitely the hardest room in my opinion. There's just not really a lot of cover to pick off enemies, and there's a lot of enemies shooting at you. All of that damage is then buffed because of the modifiers, and there's so much arc and solar damage coming at you at once. You can't run both arc and solar resistance on your chest piece at the same time, so either one you choose is going to leave you taking a lot of damage from the other. The best spot I found was the entrance to the room, since going anywhere into the room means getting shot by a dozen enemies, a boss, and 2 champions. The first thing I did was clear away enemies so I could safely kill each champion without getting killed by a random enemy. That death would always ruin any progress that I made on a champion because I'd revive and they'd be back to full health. At its absolute worst, I'd run out of heavy ammo completely, and my run would kind of get stonewalled from here because I had so little ammo to take out the champions. If you can, take out the barrier servitor before anything else. It'll shield nearby enemies, making them completely immune to your damage, including the Overload Captain that does a ridiculous amount of damage to you. For the barrier servitor, I recommend shooting your rocket launcher or xenophage at it, then popping the barrier with your energy weapon, and then finishing it with your primary to save some ammo for the captain. For the Overload Captain, all you need to do is disrupt it with your hand cannon, shoot a rocket launcher or some xenophage at it, and then finish it with your energy weapon. If you're using the Lament exotic sword though, this is where you're gonna hope you get a little lucky. It'll be super difficult to get to either champion to kill them with your sword when everything is blasting you. I'd say you should probably go for the Overload Captain first, since you can disrupt it from safety, then run with your sword out and quickly kill it. That way it's just so much safer to get to the barrier servitor. Don't worry about saving heavy ammo for the boss, just use your super on the boss and use your heavy ammo to kill the champions easily. If you're lower power level, you should clear away some of the trash enemies before using your super on the boss. Just because if you don't kill the boss or you don't get it low enough to finish it, you'll need to be ready to finish it with your weapons. Dying here to enemies you left alive would just suck, because then you'd have to hope your arc abilities are available to break the arc shield on the boss. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Destiny Lost Sector guides and reviews on all of the new Season of the Splicer weapons that you need to get. If you have any questions or tips for this Lost Sector, comment down below or join the Discord. Thanks for watching. This whole world twice, if I could be a paradise.